Hi, America from my phone and welcome to another video. Today we are getting back into Kate Bush with her album, The Dreaming, which is the album that came before the highly acclaimed Hounds of Love. I've been really vibing with this album since I did that reaction, and I am so excited to continue the journey of understanding who Kate Bush is and what music she likes to make. As we learned when talking about Hounds of Love, this album, The Dreaming, is considered her She's Gone Mad album. This is the one that was not as commercially successful after her previously highly commercially successful releases. And it really started her on the path of being a little more obscure and a little more what she wanted to be. So with that, I am very excited to see what she has in store for us. Thank you for requesting this video. And anyway, let's get into it. Track number 1, Sat in Your Lap. Ooh, some drums. Ooh, this is so much fun. Welcome to Kate Bush's album. Her intonation here makes it nearly impossible for me to understand what she's saying. Hell is heaven. That's the first thing I understood. I've been doing it for years. I'm sorry, that's just such a screaming voice. I want to be a scholar. Oh, she is experimental. Just when I think everything's going great. I want the answers quickly. Give me what? Yeah. Okay. So that was Sat in Your Lap, and what a way to start this album. By the way, I do have bandages. I fell off my scooter today, so we're hanging in there. But that's the second decent injury I've had this year, so I'm not happy about it. But this song was chaotic, and oh my god, I loved it. If you thought songs like Waking the Witch and some of the chaos that just happens in the big sky or cloud busting, just the things that make it seem less like a pop song and more like a experimental moment, this is on full display here. I love the percussion in it. This is a song that I would love to play live. I was a percussionist. I would love to be a part of a band that plays this. This would be so much fun. It feels all frantic and thrown together, and I think that's the point of the song, is that this song is about how some people think that knowledge is just sat in your lap, and that it's something that just comes easily. And the truth is you really have to work for it. And I feel pointed at, I feel attacked, I feel targeted by this because I do love to do the things quickly. I love to find the answers quickly. I love it when it's easy, but some of the most important things and satisfying things in our lives are the things that are hard. So it's a tough lesson to learn and then to remember. I think it's really cool though how she keeps this tone of I want this now, I want this frantically, and that's what the song is about. You hear that both sonically and lyrically, and I think that's some of the genius behind a lot of Kate Bush's work, is that she makes the song sound like the emotions and the feelings and the words that she's portraying. It's really remarkable, and I'm very excited to see where we continue on this album. Even though I have not heard anything before this album chronologically speaking, I probably would have said that she had gone mad too. But I'm glad that this album is now getting the respect it deserves. Track number 2, There Goes a Tenor. Okay, remember. Get into it and get out in just half an hour. I go in, the crime begins. This feels like a tune where you go like up and down with like another person, when the two people are like. I like how this part things just continue building. that transition, what the heck? All I know is I wake up. There goes a tenor. That's the song title. Oh, there's the end. So that was There Goes a Tenor, and we shifted the vibe completely. This felt quirky and fun and silly. It reminds me of an old cartoon. That metaphor of like the two people going up and down. It's like, I don't know how to describe this. But sometimes, especially when I was little, two people might, just to be silly, in response to a song playing, one would start standing and the other one would kind of squat down, and then they kind of just alternate. And that's just silly, very free, very quick, very easy fun. But this song's message is entirely different. This is a story about people trying to rob a bank, but they're not very calm or relaxed about it. They don't really know what they're doing. And so this sense of adventure and this excitement that they had previous to it kind of turns into a more frightening situation, like, oh shoot, we could get in big trouble, something could go wrong, yikes. And I think it's interesting that she mentions crime on multiple songs. She mentioned crime here, and then she also had Mother Stands for Comfort, which is the murder. So yeah, I think it's very interesting that she seems a little fascinated by it, although I know a lot of people are. I think the song is also technically related to Sat in Your Lap, and the idea of they think this robbery is going to go easy at first, and then they realize, oh shoot, it's actually a lot harder. And so they want this to just be sat in their lap, but really they have to work for it. It's definitely an interesting song, and apparently it was a single, but it is, I think, her only single that ever charted in the UK. And I don't know if I would listen to this on the radio. And that was pretty much what would get your song charting, the radio, and then maybe buying physical CDs. So I can see why this song in particular didn't chart. It is a bit of a meme. I guess it's ahead of its time. Track number 3 is Pull Out the Pin. Ooh, that bass and that piano. Where are we going? I've never been so happy to be alive. My Silver Bullet. Is this about war? Who are those other voices? I Love Life. Wow, she's like shrieking it. Oh, is that like a siren? She's definitely giving her heart in this vocal performance. Oh, I hear Pull Out the Pin. Her shrieks of I Love Life are honestly terrifying. Ooh, that dissonance. Oh, it's doing a slow fade out of more and more instruments leaving. So that was Pull Out the Pin, and that was a haunting song. Wow. I mean, it is about war. It's about the Vietnam War in particular, which at this point would have been just maybe 10 years after it had ended. So definitely still like something that was definitely on the minds of people, especially with it being such a controversial war. And as someone who lives in the United States, people are still annoyed that that even happened. I mean, they're more than annoyed, they're like absolutely pissed. And so Kate Bush wanted to make a song dedicated to it, especially after watching an Australian documentary on it. And it took us into the perspective of the Vietnamese who had to fight against these Americans who were just obviously invading on them and just saying, we don't like your way of life. We're gonna try to change it. And if that means we're gonna so many people, then so be it. And that's a horrible mindset. And I think the Cold War, we think of it as such a Cold War, but it's just hot, but it's just not between Russia and the United States. It's not. So yeah, I mean, it had a lot of casualties and a lot of deaths, specifically people who did not get a choice on whether or not they were fighting. both on the American side with the draft, but also the Vietnamese who did not ask to get into a war with the United States. They didn't want that. I am so personally over war and genocide, and I know that's not necessarily a new idea, but I really just can't think of any reason why a war or genocide or anything of that caliber is worth it or useful for anyone. I guess people who want to screw over other people, I get. That's really the only thing that I can think of. People who want to keep our poor poor, people who want to manipulate the people who really can't succeed in the system that is pitted against them. Yeah, that's really all I have to say on that. The song is very haunting given all the shrieks of "and I love life," and it's this feeling of it's either me or him, and I love life, so I pull out the pin. Oh, that did rhyme. Okay, Kate, I see you. But it's showing that they don't want a war, and especially with the Vietnam War, where there was the draft, there's plenty of people on the battlefield who don't want to be there on both sides. And even today with selective service, but also with the fact that a lot of people who are low income and they don't have the financial means to go to college or find a very steady job, they go to the military and they are manipulated into being part of this military pipeline. And it's very frustrating that it still happens today. And I'm thankful that we are less active in military entanglements, but we don't need as much of a military as we have. We really don't. I don't understand why every increase to military spending is just, well, sure. But then education or climate change or anything that's like actively important to the everyday life of us is something that we have to fight for in terms of budgeting. And it's ridiculous. It's ridiculous. Defund the police, defund the military, increase funding to everything that actually makes us a better community. Sorry, I know I'm more on a soapbox than actually talking about the song. The song, I don't know if I can listen to it often because it's definitely something that's going to get me angry. But Kate and David Gilmour of Pink Floyd, that's the male voice that we were hearing, they did a great job while still retaining its Kate Bush essence. And also, even though they're not directly tied, I think the song does flow from the previous song, even though one was much sillier than this very serious one. But the idea of getting out of this robbery situation and being so happy that you're alive, I guess that's at least a little bit of a transition. Track number 4, Suspended in Gaffa. I also don't know if I said that right. I'm not familiar with Gaffa. Wait, this also feels kind of quirky, like Here Comes the Tenor. This is another song where the intonation makes it hard to understand. Ooh, slapper. Thank you for yanking me back. That sounded great. I don't know why I'm crying. She can't have it all. I can never hit those slaps right. So that was Suspended in Gaffa. And that song sonically sounded a lot like There Goes a Tenor. But the song lyrically is a lot more closely aligned with Sat in Your Lap, in that she, Kate, but also just the speaker, because most of these songs are not autobiographical, she sees something that she wants, and then unless she's able to really work for it, she will never see that again. When looking at the lyrics, Kate relates this to her experience in the Catholic Church, where in purgatory you see God and then you don't get to see him until you enter heaven, which is better than hell, where you see God but then know you'll never see him again, versus again heaven, which you get to see God forever. So if we're talking about that very serious, dedicated type of salvation and working towards a goal, it's going to require a lot of devotion and a lot of hard effort. So I can see where that religious aspect really relates to the song's message here as well as in Sat in Your Lap. With the title Suspended in Gaffa, she's asking if she's suspended in this metaphorical way of being where she doesn't know if she's going to succeed or not, and she might want to try to take the easy way, but she knows that that's probably not going to end up well, so she's kind of stuck. Gaffa apparently referring to Gaffer's tape, which I don't really see a reason why that's included here, because I felt like everything else didn't seem like a play, but she's saying that she's stuck and she has to figure out a way to succeed. And that way to succeed is mainly hard work, but also you don't know whether or not you end up accomplishing the goal ultimately. I like the song's message because I do like the Sat in Your Lap message, and this is very similar, but it has that silliness that Here Comes the Tenor has, and so I don't know if I can take it that seriously. So we'll see. Track number 5, Leave It Open. Oh, boom, clap. Boom, boom, clap. I'm thinking of We Will Rock You, but I think this song came out first. What filters are on her voice today? Keep it shut. Is this David Gilmour again? Dorney Electra? Who? This song makes me think that Kate Bush invented hyperpop. Oh, okay. We built it up. These live drums are kind of everything for this. Wow, I really understood nothing lyrically from this. So that was Leave It Open. Kate Bush invented hyperpop. This song was such a trip. I didn't expect this. And I think what surprised me a lot about Hounds of Love was especially songs like Waking the Witch, and then just the way she experimented wasn't something I thought of when I thought of any 80s or 90s artists even. Pre-21st century, I didn't think that type of manipulation was something that was happening. And the fact that it wasn't mainstream, but it kind of was. This was number 3 still, even though it didn't peak at number 1. It still was number 3 on their charts in the United Kingdom, so UK, you've been keeping this from us. But this song, while I couldn't understand the lyrics hearing them, I did look them up because I wanted to be informed. And it makes sense why I couldn't understand them because of all the filtering and everything. And this song is about letting your weirdness out into the world. It's about taking off your mask, your metaphorical mask of how you show yourself to the world, and letting your weird, inner, true, more quirky self shine, which I think is perfect for Kate Bush in the fact that this is her album in which she gets, I guess, a little more quirky. I haven't listened to the albums before this, so I don't know how experimental she is on those projects, but I think it definitely clarifies what people were saying when they say, oh, this is her, what the heck, I'm not mainstream anymore. It does make sense, because if this was mainstream, who knows what we'd be in for today. The song, with its almost hyper-pop tendencies, I'm very intrigued about that, because not only had I not heard about this type of stuff for pre-21st century, but I always hear of hyper-pop as the future of pop, but it's always been here to some degree. I know that a lot of the trends come from the 2000s and the internet and stuff like that. However, there was definitely some precursors in regular pop that definitely predate that time, predate me being alive. Yeah, she's showing it right now. This is a quirky one, and I'm excited to listen to it again, especially in headphones. I feel like I'm really going to be able to let the weirdness in. Track number 6, The Dreaming, the title track. This kind of feels almost like Debut from Bjork. This feels like a reworked version of that beginning song in Frozen. I could definitely break some ice with this song. Is that baby crying? I'm still trying to shovel some snow with this song. With no warning. This also gives the impression of Lion Sleeps Tonight a bit. Ah, hee ha ha. I feel like I also could get ready to fight with this song. You okay? Does this also have to do with the war? Because this also feels a little jungle like with that song. Oh, is that a crackling fire? Oh, that's definitely some bird noises. So that was The Dreaming. Oh, what a song. I have been lately with the past few projects I've reacted to trying not to look up lyrics, but I knew with Kate Bush I would have to, and I'm glad that I let myself do that for this one. Because this song is about the indigenous people of Australia, but apparently one of the reasons why I couldn't understand what Kate was saying is that she was using an Australian accent. And let's just get this straight. I'm an American listening to this album. There's going to be some British slang like "here comes a tenor" that I don't understand. And then she's going to use Australian slang on me. I couldn't tell you if it was a British slang term or an Australian slang term. I don't know that. I only know American English. And oh, that confuses me so much. In some of my free time, I've been watching Celebrity Big Brother UK 17 with Tiffany Pollard and Gemma Collins, and I'm very excited. Don't spoil it for me. I am watching it for the first time. But there's certain sentences that they'll just say 5 words and it'll mean something that apparently makes sense to them, but it means absolutely nothing to me. And I am just so confused, especially when it comes to relationships, even though that's not what's happening here. But a lot of slang. I don't know. I feel like, and maybe this is just my bias as someone from the United States, I feel like British English and Australian English both have a lot more slang terms that can't be understood by other English speakers. I can't think of any terms that Americans use that a British or Australian person wouldn't understand. Maybe it wouldn't be their preferred term, like an apartment versus a flat. But if I say an apartment, I think a British person still understands me, even though I don't think a lot of Americans would understand by, oh, you're looking for a flat? And many of my friends would say, what? So it was definitely something that was hard for me to understand. Also, the fact that she slows down the word Dreamtime, which is apparently something of cultural significance to the indigenous people of Australia. I'm, again, not that educated on them. I did a project on them in elementary school. That's as far as I got, and I apologize for not knowing more. I should know more, and I hope to look more into stuff following this filming. And if you'd like to also enlighten me of anything that you know down in the comments below, I would be more than happy to read it. So yeah, I don't really know if I like this song or not. I got more of a sense of confusion rather than a sense of enjoyment, but now that I've lived with it once, maybe I will figure it out on the second listen. Track number 7, Night of the Swallow. Okay, piano. The night doesn't like it. I won't let you do it. Love me. Please don't go through with this. I won't let you do it. She's saying that over and over. Oh, was that some fireworks? And then we also have some building guitar. Oh, this guitar strumming got me going. It's gonna give me whiplash. Oh, we're going back to the beginning? I won't let you do it. Oh, I won't go through with it. Oh, I got it wrong. See, there's that like sound that sounds like fireworks. We're going to build back in. Oh yeah. Give me a break. Mood. Oh, this is that banjo? I don't know. This just has a good, almost American country feel. Okay. A little piano moment to close this song out. So that was Night of the Swallow, and oh, that was an interesting song. We had some slow piano moments, we had some fast guitar moments, and that's really, again, something that sounds really good with the lyrics of the song. The sonics and lyrics are connected, and that there's those two distinct parts, and it's because there's two distinct people in the story. The story is originally told from the perspective of a lover of a smuggler to not go on his next trip. And the fast parts are him saying, no, let me go. You don't want to clip my wings like a swallow. And apparently there's a reference to Malta, and apparently Malta regularly migrating birds. So he's comparing it to that and saying he has this escape plan. Don't worry, he's going to be fine. But she keeps saying, I won't let you do it, even though he's miles away. So it seems she has failed to convince him, and he really wants to show for his miserable life. There's lines that you can tell there's definitely two stories, or two perspectives rather, going on. And I think it's really interesting. I really love Kate Bush being a storyteller. I think she does an awesome job at it. Sometimes it's easier to understand than others. This one was in the middle. I definitely have to look up the lyrics to understand it, but it's not as confusing as The Dreaming, for example, because of just intonation. This one I couldn't fully understand, but I just kind of got swept away in the groove anyway. Track number 8 is All the Love. Ooh, we got piano and we go into this groove a little bit. The first time I died was in the arms of good friends of mine. The tragedy allows the release. I didn't want to let them see me weak. Oh, we're taking a little pause here. All the love we could have given. I love the percussion in this song. It's subtle, but it's definitely there. Kate Bush, if you tour again, hire me as your multi-percussionist. Ooh. Voice message. Oh, it's definitely getting manipulated here. Bye. Oh, it's just a lot of sign-offs. So that was All the Love, and that was a quiet little number, but definitely a song I would still want to play in your upcoming tour, hopefully. Please. The song is subtle, but definitely has the layers and the depth that any Kate Bush song does have. And she's talking here about loneliness and how we often don't say how much we love someone until it's too late, or we just think that they know that we love them, but we don't say anything, and then they don't know, and that's so sad, that's so unfortunate. And yeah, it makes me want to call up my friends and tell them I love them. There's two things that are just very intriguing to me about this song. One is the fact that she was having a problem with her answering machine, and it just had all of these people just say bye or these sign-offs, and she decided to put that onto the album. I think that's so clever. That's so cool, turning something that's a technological issue that you want to solve into something that works great for your song. Makes me want to see what glitches I can put into my music. And another part of this is that she says run for the hills as part of one of the choruses, and it makes me think of running up that hill. Whoa, what a concept. And this being almost a precursor in the fact of all the love that we could have shared with each other. She's going to run for the hills. She's going to run up a hill to try to make that deal with God so that we understand each other and we're seeing each other's perspectives, and then maybe we'll realize that we love each other. Obviously, that song hadn't come out yet, so I do not know if that's a parallel that's been discovered by now, or has yet to have any substantiated basis, but I think that would make sense. I think that connects with her perspective. And yeah, I don't know, it makes me satisfied. There's also some guest, I think his name is Richard Thornton. He repeats throughout the song that we need you to love us too, and that we wait for your move, reminding us that sometimes we feel so alone and so sad and by ourselves. And then all these people in our lives that we think are ditching us or just not caring, they're also feeling sad and alone and don't know that they could talk to you and you both would feel better. And so sometimes it pays to be the first person. I know it's annoying to reach out first. I know I do it too much. I think within my friends, I think I'm the one who does it more than they do. But trust me, if you think it's someone you want to have around and you want to continuously be friends with or have a relationship with or whatever, you gotta sometimes make that move. And I think there's that anxiety about that, but I think if you try to quash that anxiety, I think that, at least for me, it'll make me less anxious because I know that they'll actually want me to, versus just feeling so sad and depressed and alone. Track number 9 is Houdini. I wait at the table. The tambourine, jangle jangle. I break the circle. I want this man to go away now. Ooh. Are we upbeat? Huh? My two moods. He's using code that only you and I know. Every time you escape. Oh, she's speaking to Houdini. I don't know. This chorus is a bop. The only thing in my mind. Ooh, this piano and its associated instruments. Love it. You and I. So whispered. So that was Houdini, and what a song. Honestly, I'm just touched by the narrative. But also, the sonic components of it were kind of insane. She screams sometimes, and then she has a gentle interlude sometimes. There's a whole soundscape existing in the song. But the song is told, I think, from Houdini's wife. And apparently after Houdini, the magician who famously would break out of chains, I definitely think of him being like stuck in like a tub of water and having to break some chains or something like that. He was able to do it. And apparently they, before Mr. Houdini passed away, they apparently arranged a code that if he ever came back to life or was able to contact her, he would. And apparently he did once. And wow, that's insane. This is another song that I think will benefit from headphones and another listen. But this is a cool story. And apparently that's actually, I think, where the cover comes from of the album, because she's holding a man in chains. And I think that's supposed to be Houdini. So that's cool to see where we got that cover from and why it makes sense. Track number 10, last track on this album, Get Out of My House. Ooh, tell him. Oh, we're really getting out of the house. You pause in the doorway. My key, I did not know what's happening in this voice message. Is she yelling, get out of my house? Oh. That screaming of get out of my house really works with her voice. This house knows all that I've done. Ooh. This house is full of the mistakes. Oh. This is a if walls could talk moment. Is this French? Oh my god. Her get out of my house feels like And I Love Life. Oh, her saying "get out of my house" now sounds almost like a cry in the scream. Ooh, she is just screaming on this track. Oh, I just realized that there is a 2018 remaster. I'm listening to the original though. Ooh, what is that? I don't even know, but I like it. Another song that could get me amped for a fight. Okay, bop it. Okay. So that was Get Out of My House, and what a way to end this album. That was exhilarating. The song hypes me up. It reminds me distinctly, and maybe it's just because I think of Taylor Swift a lot because I listen to her a lot and I wrote a thesis on her, so it makes sense. It reminds me of how Taylor Swift screamed to "Get out of my house" in the "Look What You Made Me Do" behind the scenes. I'll link that personally in a card just so I don't get that copyright. But the song is really dealing beyond the comical of the screaming of "Get out of my house." It deals with struggling to let someone in after a bad breakup or after things ended in a very poor scenario, or just some trauma that you endured has affected how you can interact with other people and whether or not you're willing to let them in and show your barriers and let them love you. She's telling how this past knows all her mistakes, all the mess. It has all the problems. It knows also the joys, but it does know a lot of the problems. And if I let you into my house, you see all that bad. You see that weirdness. So it kind of reminds me of that "Leave It Open" song from before. Because in "Get Out of My House," she's saying, "With my key, I lock it. With my key, I lock it up. And I am trying to make sure I am safe and secure here." Because she's dealing with that loneliness. And that's something that she deals with. She deals with it here. She deals with it in "Leave It Open," and she's dealing with it on "All the Love." So loneliness is definitely something that at least her character is dealing with. And I think when you tend to make more experimental and quirky sounds, definitely that's something that can be isolating. Being a musician is isolating, and I, for one, not because specifically I'm a musician, but I think you can feel isolated a lot when you are creating things, when you're letting your mind take you places that you might not want to go. And yeah, I think this song really escalates that and gets into this fear factor and this sense of almost a horror movie, like in The Shining. I think that was a reference that was in the lyrics. Yeah, she's definitely going through it, and it's definitely really riveting to hear it. It's definitely a very thrill-seeking experience to listen to this song. With that said, we have finished listening to this album, and I had a good time. I'll be honest, I had so much fun getting to know Kate more. Hounds of Love was a lot, definitely, and you definitely learn a lot from her in that. But I think this one's a little more chaotic, and this one's much more what I think Kate Bush's essence probably is. Because Hounds of Love, I feel like in order for her label to allow her to release the whole thing, including the Ninth Wave, I bet those 5 songs at the beginning, especially Running Up That Hill, Hounds of Love, The Big Sky, Cloud Busting, those songs probably had to be a little more cleared rather than The Dreaming, because I do not know what major label would just sign off on this project. And that's not a bad thing. That's more of a critique of labels, especially pre-21st century, of a lack of experimentation that generally, I think, occurred in a lot of music at that time. At least that's my impression. Again, I wasn't around then, so I can't say firsthand experience, but I feel like now there's just a lot more smaller labels where this stuff could happen. But the fact that it happened on a relatively major label, if her albums had previously gotten to #1, I'm sure she was probably on a major label. And the fact that this album hit #3 even, whoa, I mean, maybe that's just the first week in sales, but still, wow. This album, it was something else. I definitely will have favorites, and there's songs that already have become ones I like more than others, and I think that's because those are the songs I was able to understand. There's certain messages that made me love the songs more, so I am glad I looked them up, especially for Kate, because honestly, I don't ever really know what's going to come straight from her mind. So I'm always glad to get completely corrected with those lyrical interpretations, because she definitely has a specific vision and a specific story, and I definitely want to understand those stories and start to relate to them for what they are. I am super grateful that y'all recommended this project to me, because like honestly, it was just so much fun, and I just am excited to listen to it all over again. With that said, here are some of my favorites at the top tier, the songs that stand out, the ones I love, the ones that I'm going to play over and over again. Songs in the middle are songs I like. I'll add them to my playlist, but they might not be at the top of the top. And songs at the bottom are just not really my thing. Doesn't mean they're a bad song, doesn't mean that they can't be your favorite song. Just means it's not for me. That's okay. Kate Bush certainly didn't make this album for me. I wasn't around yet, but I am so glad that it's still around and has relevance today. If you like this video, please like it, comment below, like me to react to or do next on my channel. Please subscribe to my channel if you're not already and you'd like to be. And thanks for watching. This is TurtleStormer. Catch you later.
Get out of the dark and get into my heart. You gotta do your part for a brand new start. Don't it just feel right? Looking in my eyes, so till we